let's get started. Thank you very much for making the effort to come all the way into the city to talk to me today, something you have the privilege of doing every day from the safe confines of Green Lane.
That is true.
Before we start ripping into it, could you introduce yourself, your role, tell me a little bit about your journey to this point?
So, Anu Black. I am the head of service governance at System Advisory Services. I've been with System Advisory for 5 years now, which is great. So my role is essentially leading governance assurance in continual service discipline for our SaaS customers, and essentially ensuring that the service that we deliver remains resilient, accountable, and also it delivers the business outcomes, because that's the first and the foremost, that it has to align with the outcomes that the business and customers are expecting.
I want to flip it over.
Yeah.
What does that mean from an executive, a buyer of a contract experience?
So for a customer or an executive, so for a CIO, for example, it's having clear visibility and understanding of risks, and also visibility of the priorities, but also fewer surprises, right? It's ensuring that it is managing their environment and not just responding to tickets that get logged. It's having that confidence and trust that their service provider has their best interest and will ensure that their environment is well looked after, especially their critical services.
And how does that feel? How do we want that to feel for them, I suppose?
I think I'll come back to confidence and trust. They have the confidence and they trust us that we will be transparent and accountable to ensure that nothing comes as a surprise. But also when things go wrong, we will own the outcome and lead for them.
And does that present a bit of a challenge? Because surely the best business critical service is one that you never have a problem with or hear really anything from.
Yeah. I mean, that would be an ideal scenario. But every now and then a challenge will arise, and that's just the reality of the environments. But it's how do we respond to those challenges, how well prepared we are. And we're not and that's where the service governance also comes into play, right? It's ensuring that our recovery processes are tested. We actually have operational processes to navigate through challenging times. And also, when things go wrong, we are able to respond faster, recover effectively, and so on.
Okay, so preparation. I've been on the inside of a couple of major incidents and got to see how stressful and challenging they can be.
Yeah. Well, there's pressure to get the environment up and running because there's business risks, reputation involved at times. So, yeah.
When we're preparing, what are we preparing for? Are we preparing just for the technical response, or are we preparing the people? What's the preparation focused on?
I mean, as I said, things will inevitably go wrong. That's just the nature of the environment. It's technology, right? What we want to be prepared for is that when things do go wrong, we're not then scrambling on how to respond to that scenario. It's having appropriate processes, but also clear understanding of the business risks and the impact more than anything else. It's like understanding the impact. When, say, a certain service goes down, how does it actually affect the customer and our customers, further customers, right? Because it may be a flow-on impact. So it's having a good understanding of the end-to-end picture. And to be prepared for that, yes, there are a lot of ITIL-aligned processes that we follow. We have major incident management process. We have change management process. It's all about managing these scenarios and risks effectively. Changes are controlled. And there is focus on continual improvement of these processes.
And so picking up on continual improvement. So obviously it's really exciting when a customer signs a new thing.
Yeah.
Right? And we get this new service and the customer gets this new service. How much of the role or the experience is keeping that relevant and fresh as that contract starts to become mature?
Yeah, so it's something that should be visible to the customer in the day-to-day engagement. It's not something, as you said, part of the sales process. Everyone's excited. There's a lot of resources and things thrown at to make it a successful process. But it's once we are in the BAU mode, it's the day-to-day engagement that actually makes it successful. I always say to my colleagues that the customers don't buy from the salesperson, although some salespeople may disagree, that essentially they buy where they know they get good service delivery, right? It's the consistent service delivery that is what actually makes the experience worthwhile for them.
And that's because that consistency builds trust, right?
Yes, and the trust is something that I don't think even our personal life is not just given, right? You have to earn it. And it's about, and you can only earn it when you show up day in, day out. You're focused on making sure that the service is aligned to the business outcomes. And the operational and the business leaders have the visibility of what they need to have visibility of. So it's that constant engagement and alignment of the objectives, and also working quite closely with them to ensure that they have visibility and they understand what risks that they may be coming across and what improvement plans or mitigations that we can work with and suggest them.
So you talk a lot about ensuring we deliver the business outcome.
Yeah.
When we talk about the advisory side of the business, we talk about identifying the business outcome and making sure that customers make choices with the business outcome in mind, not just technology for technology's sake.
Yeah.
How do you tie that initial experience into the customer's experience on a day-to-day basis? How do you tie that initial, that's the business outcome we want, and keep people focused on that?
Mm-hmm. I think I'll come back again to that. You need to have good understanding of your customer environment and also what do they do. So, for example, if I have a customer which is a manufacturer of some meters, what do those meters do? How do they actually transpire to a service that they provide? It's actually having a good understanding of their business processes, like what is that customer passionate about?
And how do they make money, right?
Yes. I mean, like ultimately it's a business, yeah.
Yeah, so moving on from that, one of the great refrains of IT is that, down is no dollars, and when we're down, business is not rolling in.
Yeah.
But IT leaders can also be hesitant to overinvest in certain areas and build N plus whatever it is, resilience into their organization. How do you manage that conversation around risk appetite and resilience, but also when things are down, they are literally down and you can't trade?
There has to be a fine balance because as much as we like to be prepared, and I'm sure majority of the customers and businesses out there feel the same, you cannot be prepared for every little scenario. So that's why there has to be some risk appetite conversations within the business, but that's usually owned within the business. But it's from our perspective, it's having an understanding of their critical services, right? And what it means in terms of their risk appetite. We may not, or the customer may not be able to fund for, or may not have the budget for the platinum solution to a specific risk or the risk mitigation plan that we may put forward, but it's meeting them where the budget is sufficient to at least put some sort of mitigation in place, but also maybe understanding what it means.
But clarity around that is like quite interesting because how many customers do you think have real true clarity over what the risk trade-offs that they've, when you've started implementing this, how many customers do you feel have real true clarity over what the actual impact of the trade-offs that they've made, and those could be 20-year trade-offs, right, is on their risk posture in their business?
I think as a mature service provider, it's actually our responsibility to ensure we give them that visibility and understanding. They have signed a partnership with us because they trust us and they are expecting us to do the right thing and have their best interests in hearts. And it's beyond just, as I said, what's just technology or what's the service that's contracted for. So it's our responsibility to ensure that we highlight the risks. And because it's our forte, it's our technology, right? We are the experts in that technology. And then help them understand what that risk means and have those proactive conversations. One of the frameworks that we use is we have a proactive risk register that we manage for each customer, right? Which essentially is a document that defines all the risks that we have been identified, what is the impact, what's the description of that, and what's the mitigation plan. And once we've given them that visibility and have had conversations, then yes, the customer may then decide that actually this is an accepted risk or no, this is not acceptable and we need to put the mitigation plan in place. But I would say that as a mature service provider, we should take on that responsibility and have those proactive conversations. And
it's been interesting to me to watch, when I first heard about the risk register and all that, I was like, that's the most boring.
And the CSAP.
So that's the most boring thing in the world, right? Like, but from a customer perspective, the amount of business value that I've seen that create for some of our key customers is pretty significant, right? Like, that has headed off some potentially pretty major issues before they've transpired.
Yeah. I always also think, a lot of customers and the whole customer service provider relationship, right? They usually focus on technology, SLAs, and so on. But I think the customers should focus on what sort of accountability, risk management, and continual improvement the service provider is focused on. Because it's all well and good when everything is working fine. But it's seeing how the service provider would respond and govern and lead when a challenge would arise.
So let's talk about challenges. Because we say challenge. Challenges do arise, right? You've been in war rooms at all sorts of times of day. And what sort of experience are we governing or delivering at that point?
Yeah.
What's it like first, and what are we trying to achieve from our customers' perspective? Obviously, we're trying to get the application back up,
and we were trying to make sure that the issue is resolved and impact is understood and communication and so on. But I think the biggest thing that I would expect any of my team members or myself to do or deliver in a situation like that is give the customer the confidence that we're leading it, I'm leading it, and they don't have to worry about what the next steps are and so on. I will communicate with them on as or when required basis, and that I understand the priority involved and the impact that it has on their business. It's essentially giving them that confidence more than anything else. It's
giving them that confidence that they don't have to be the one up all night worrying, right?
Absolutely.
Why do IT incidents always happen at 2 a.m. in the morning?
I have no idea. I think this should be this should be well studied or something. There should be some scientists working on why.
Have you ever met an executive that wants to be woken up at 2 in the morning?
No, none. No. It's not ever a favorite part of this role. But I think it's situations like these that actually really build that trusted relationship between the service provider and the customer. Because as I said, when everything's working great, everyone's busy with other distractions. But it's times like this that really prove to the customer if they've got the right service provider or not.
And picking up on that, so obviously, we are the right service provider. What are you experiencing if you're not with the right service provider? How does it feel as a business?
I would think if a business is not with the right service provider, you'll only see or hear from them when something's up for renewal or once in a while they want to do a coffee shout or something like that, or do a little marketing case study. I wouldn't think that if they are the right service provider, you would only hear or see from them when a situation arises. You won't just see them delivering strictly to what they are being paid for in their contract. You would see them working together with them about future opportunities, priorities, and see them embedded into their day-to-day operations.
And it's funny, right? We were talking before we started filming about a customer who thought they were seeing you less, but really they just got the day of the week wrong.
Yeah.
Right. How important is that visibility to deliver confidence?
I think it's great. I think it's not only just when something goes wrong, but it's also on day-to-day basis. They have this clear understanding of who is responsible for the operations, for their risk decisions, who can they escalate to. It's having that name left, right, center at the back of their mind at all times, which actually helps. So even if you're not physically there, those constant touch points over Teams or over phone or via email, that constant engagement is massive. And that's what really helps through managing difficult situations as well, because you have that trusted relationship where you both can be transparent and clear on what needs to be discussed and agreed and so on. But also it's having that faith that if as a service provider we've done something wrong that's causing them the pain, we would fess up to it and be open about it.
Yeah, and that was sort of my next question, right, is like how important is honesty as part of this relationship?
I would say like in all the years that I've been working within IT in different roles, right, between service delivery, operations management, and customer leadership, honesty has always been that one driver which has helped me build my relationships with my customers and helps me connect better with them. Yeah, I think because that is something that gives both the parties that confidence that they can rely on me to get the best service and that I can have a candid conversation with them if required, because it will all come from an honest place.
Because it's tempting, right, to obfuscate a little bit.
Yeah. And it's a conundrum, right? Because you also don't want the customer to worry unnecessarily of the littlest of the details. But at the same time, if it's a trusted partnership, it doesn't matter how big or small that detail is. Honesty is important. Because otherwise, it's all transactional. It's not a trusted partnership.
What should customers feel from a mature, trusted service provider?
I would say, again, confidence, right? That they should have the confidence that their environment is in a safe pair of hands. And I know I've spoken a lot about the outcomes, but that's what it comes down to, that we're not just their transactional technology partner, but we are actually invested in there and helping them achieve their business outcomes, right? Our conversations go beyond technology and are now focused on outcomes. But at the same time, they have that confidence that we have good governance in place, which means, again, fewer surprises, risks are effectively managed, changes are controlled, continual improvement, and that strong engagement on a day-to-day basis.
Imagine I'm a customer who has gone and got a new job, and we don't work together, and I'm like, I trust you.
Yeah.
I've got my team evaluating a new managed service provider. What sort of questions should I be asking them?
I think, again, don't just focus on technology and SLAs and service levels and so on. Ask them, how do they respond when things go wrong? How do they manage risks? What is the accountability process looks like? Focus on that. It's because, as I said, it's how they would actually respond and govern and lead when that challenge would arise.
And so, speaking of how things go wrong, you've obviously worked for nearly 20 years across the industry.
Yeah.
We like to say we're good in a crisis.
Yeah.
Why are we good in a crisis?
I think it's our preparedness. We spend a lot of time on continual improvement. We look at our processes. Every time an issue happens, we go back to the drawing board. We assess what went wrong, what went well, where do we need to modify, improve our process that we have in place. I think that's what actually, and it's also that accountability, right? If I'm your service delivery manager, I'm accountable for the service that's delivered to you by system advisory services, right? I own that process. So it's that strong sense of accountability. But also that partnership, right? I have people who have put their trust in me, knowing that if I'm looking after their service, it's all in good hands. I think that's what really makes us good in crisis. We are accountable, we take ownership, and we lead.
Yeah, and we care as well,
Yeah,
right?
and we care.
Sometimes to a fault. But we care about the outcomes of our customers that our customers have. I don't think there's any number.
Yeah.
Right? There's no you're just customer ID 123.
No, it's never transactional. I think if it was transactional, we wouldn't be as invested within all layers that we have within the organization with our customers. Yeah. Because all the way from operations to executive engagement, we are invested.
One last thing. If you could tell a new systems advisory services customer one thing they should expect from us, from service experience point of view, what is it?
I think they should expect that we will work very closely with them, ensuring that their critical services or the services that they sign up for are not just managed as they would expect, but we would also work hard on ensuring that we are working towards improving those services. And we will have a strong engagement with them where they won't just hear from us once in a blue moon.
We've obviously had a couple of things recently where customers have had challenges.
Yeah.
And it's been all hands to the pump to make things happen.
Yeah.
Can you talk me through a little bit, like an example of how that experience reflects?
So I'll give you a situation. So recently, one of our customers started experiencing some issues with one of their critical applications. And it had a significant impact. There's a team of overseas users, in-house users, that were getting affected day in, day out. But not just that, it had a flow-on impact to their customers and the deliverables that our customer had to them, right? And as much as it was financial, but the big one was the reputational. There was actual reputational damage happening due to that issue. So what it really required was us to take the charge, even though we aren't the application vendor. We took the charge and managed that relationship with that vendor to get the outcome for our customer. And what it did mean was me basically basing myself in the customer office so that there's clear visibility. But at the same time, if anybody within the team wanted to know what's going on at what times, they didn't have to spend time emailing or picking up the phone. They could just walk up to me and have a conversation, and I would give them all the updates. And what it did also mean is confidence for them that there is this one person sitting here who is solely focused on resolving this issue for us, right? And it wasn't an easy path. It did take significant amount of time to get there, and ensuring that all the stakeholders were well informed at all times. But it did help turn around the experience for them and also for their customers, because then we were also engaged with their customers to ensure that they are also getting the updates and they're seeing the improvements and that they're happy with those improvements that were coming as part of the management of this issue.
And that you were on site at the customer for a pretty extended period of time, right?
Yeah.
How long?
I think maybe 2.5 weeks. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, sorry.
Yeah, and sorry, I must add that it wasn't just me. I was the face, right? I was the person leading and basically being the spokesperson. But what it did require was the backing of all of the team within System Advisory Services. It was having the ability to be able to call in the operations managers or the engineers and have them work day and night because we were all collectively focused on getting the outcome for the customer. And there were no pushbacks or, it's been too long or it's too late. It was delivering what was required at whatever time and so on. Yeah.
And I think, overall, the customers managed to turn a situation around that was pretty negative. And we talk about reputation.
Yes.
And it sounds, from my outside position, that it's in a pretty positive spot.
Oh, absolutely. Even the conversation that I had as recent as this morning, the customer's feedback has very much been that, you're not hearing much from our customers. Everything seems to have just settled down. And that's the best feedback I can expect to get. So I'm pleased because it's when their customers are feeling the pain that they feel the pain, and then we feel it, right? So it's making sure that it's not just them, but also their customers that we are keeping happy.
Excellent.